I'm recording my homily for the 5th Sunday of Lent, which is the last normal Sunday of Lent, because next Sunday will be Palm Sunday, and then we have Easter, right? So, I'm just going to reflect on the gospel reading. So there's two parts in the gospel reading that I think most of us, if we were to choose the part of the gospel reading that really impacts us or sticks in our mind when we read it, it'd probably be one of these two. So the first part of the gospel that I think is really powerful is the image that Jesus uses of the grain of wheat, right? So he says, unless a grain of wheat falls to the ground and dies, it just remains a grain of wheat. It doesn't bear any fruit. It doesn't do anything, right? So you think about your little garden shed that you have, and you got your seeds in your little packets, right? You're waiting to be planted, and they just wait there, and nothing changes, nothing happens. But as soon as they die, and it's interesting to use that image because we don't think of a seed necessarily dying, but the seed has to give of himself if the plant is to grow, and then more seeds are to come, right? So Jesus obviously is using this as an example of his own life, that he has to be willing to die if we, his brothers and sisters, are to have life. So it's a powerful example. It's a beautiful example. You know, a couple years ago, we had, I don't know, it was a vacation Bible school or something with kids, and I came up with this little story. And so the story is kind of like Adam and Eve in the garden, right? Except it's not two people, it was two seeds, okay? So these two little seeds are in the garden, and they only have one rule. There's only one instruction that they have to obey. And so the rule is that when it starts raining, they have to get as close to the ground and just hold on. They just have to stay close to the ground as possible, right? So they stay close to the ground. By doing that, they're obedient. Well, so these two seeds say, okay, fine. So they start wandering through the garden. Now, I know seeds can't wander through the garden, but anyways. So the seeds are wandering through the garden, and life is good. The sun is out. It feels great. It's warm. And then all of a sudden, one of the seeds sees this giant drop. So obviously, rain droplets for seeds look really big, right? And they get really scared. It's like, wow, that's a lot of water. So one of the seeds says, the other seed says, you know what? We need to get to high ground because this is just too much water. If it starts raining, we're going to drown. And the other seed says, well, no, we were told to stay, when it rains, we need to stay close to the ground and trust, right? So it starts raining. And one seed saying, no, we're going to die. We're going to die in the rain if we don't get to higher ground. We need to climb one of the trees, right? And so it starts raining, and finally the two seeds decide, instead of trusting, to climb to higher ground. Well, guess what happens? Nothing. They remain just seeds, right? And so obviously they had to trust because they had to be willing to die in order to become something more, right? Okay, so that was my little story that I used. It's just a story that I think exemplifies this imagery. Okay, the other part of the gospel that I want to tie in with the grain of wheat part, it's the part where Jesus really and truly is recognizing, or he's at least verbalizing what's going to happen to him. And he says, I am troubled now, and yet what should I say? Save me from this hour? So he's reflecting on the fact that he's getting ready to die, right? His crucifixion is getting very close. And he's troubled by it, obviously. It's impacting him greatly. It's very serious. And he says, so what should I say? Save me from this hour? But it's because of this hour that I came. So, when life is difficult, when life just, the things in life that we say, I'd just rather not have in my life. And so we go to God and we pray and we say, God, take this away. Take this trouble away. Take my financial troubles away. Take my troubles away. And then we forget that it could be because of those troubles that's exactly why we're here. Jesus created us with a mission because of those troubles in order to bring about a solution to those troubles. And so it would be like Jesus saying, now that I think about dying, I really don't want to do it. I really don't want to die for these people. So Heavenly Father, just take this whole mission away from me. He can't do that. That's why He came. He came for that sake. And so for us to recognize it, every time we see something difficult in our life and we want to escape it, we want to get away, say, no. That's our mission. Our mission is contained within whatever is happening, right? Okay. Now, a couple things. So, what is the vice? What is the primary vice in all of this if we are choosing to reject our mission? Well, there's two lies that Satan tries to tempt us with every single day. So every day when your alarm clock goes off and you wake up, Satan's right there, and he's going to try and tempt you every single day with these two lies, and probably some others, but at least these two. So the first lie is this: that your day is completely up to you. It's your desire, it's your will. Everything that you want to do that day is in accordance with your will. Whatever you want to do, that's what you should do. And so it is your will be done, okay? The second lie is this: that by doing your will, you will be happy. That's the second lie. Now, what is the primary vice in all of that? Well, pride, right? My will be done. It's what I want. It's what I want to have done. And so nowhere in that communication, nowhere in that thought process is a greater mission, a bigger mission, right? It's just, no, it's my will be done. And so you can hear in that, within that, would be, if there's difficulties, it's like, well, my job today is to get rid of those difficulties. It's not to work through them or to solve them or even just to enter into them. Is to get rid of them. So that you can understand why in our culture we have so many escapes now. We try to escape all of our problems and difficulties. Kind of like this crow behind me that won't be quiet. All right, maybe you can't even hear him. Okay, so if that's the primary vice that we struggle with or we're tempted by Satan every day, today is my will. Today I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And then and I'm going to be happy because of that. Then the opposite virtue of that is obviously humility, right? And so humility is recognizing that I come to serve, to do something better. I'm part of a bigger kingdom. I'm part of a bigger mission. There's something more at stake. In other words, I'm okay with being a grain of wheat. I'm okay because there's a huge garden that I'm a part of. I'm a part of something beautiful, and I'm just the grain of wheat. And if I'm willing to fall to the ground and die, then I become part of a bigger mission. So just like Jesus Christ teaching us by His example. Okay, I want to use a couple examples. So we just had the feast day of St. Joseph yesterday. Today I'm recording, today's Tuesday. But we just had the solemnity of St. Joseph. And so St. Joseph, I think, is a great example of the grain of wheat, because you look at his life when he was getting ready, he was betrothed to Mary, and he was getting ready to bring her into his home, and life was good. He had a good trade. He was a good guy. Both of them were being very faithful to God. They loved their faith. They loved their religion. Life was just going to be good, you know. He was going to have a great wife. He was have a family. And then God takes the whole thing and turns it upside down and just makes a mess of everything. And so Joseph all of a sudden realizes that his will, his desire, his plan for his life is destroyed. It's completely destroyed. Now he could try to fight to reclaim it, which was what his temptation was, because that's why he was going to divorce Mary quietly, so that he could perhaps, you know, after he's gotten over the whole thing, he can go back to having his plan of what life should look like. But he chooses instead to be the grain of wheat, to fall to the ground and die. And it's because he chose to do that we know about him today. Because if he had chosen and said, no, I'm going to divorce Mary, I'm going to move on, we would never even know about him, because he wouldn't be a saint. makes you wonder sometimes in our own lives, the decisions we make, how if we had made the different decision, we truly would have been living a life of holiness. We truly would have been living a life of a heroic love for God, whereas we chose the other path. And so we know St. Joseph today because he made the right choice. He chose to become part of something much bigger, right? The day before Sunday, last Saturday, was March 17th, which was the feast day of St. Patrick. Now, St. Patrick is another example. So you remember the story of St. Patrick, right? I've probably talked about him in one of my videos maybe a year ago. So you have St. Patrick, a young man. He's from Great Britain. He's just working for his family, working on the farm. Well, he gets shanghaied, right? That's the term we use. He gets captured. He gets taken away and taken to this foreign land called Ireland, where he's enslaved. And so he's enslaved for a few years. Now you can imagine while he's in this bondage, while he's in this slavery, he's probably thinking about a couple things. One, he's probably thinking, these people in Ireland, they stink. I hate them. They take me away from my family. They rob me of my freedom, my dignity. They enslave me. Not only do I want to escape, but I never want to come back here. And if I ever hear anybody talk positively about Ireland, I'm going to spit, right? I mean, you can imagine him feeling all those things. Now, if you're Irish, I apologize. I'm a little Irish too. Just let me get through the story, okay, before you do anything drastic. Okay, so he eventually escapes, and he goes back to Great Britain. He goes back to his family. Well, he begins to discern a vocation to the priesthood. So he's discerning his vocation to the priesthood, and through the course of his discernment, through the course of this, and he's talking to his bishop and discerning where he should serve. He feels God calling him in his prayer. If he hears the voice of God saying, I want you to go to Ireland. Now Patrick's like, yeah, no way. No way. I'm not going back there. They don't deserve you, Lord. They don't deserve me. They don't deserve it. But God's saying, I want you to go back to Ireland. So what he's hearing is Jesus Christ saying, I need for you to be the grain of wheat. I need for you to die. I need for you to be willing to die. So he goes back to Ireland and he loves the people to death. He gives his life to them. All right. Now what do you hear in that? You hear humility. You hear the fullness of this. You can imagine him saying, when he starts hearing that voice, just like St. Joseph when he first heard what was going on with Mary, it's like, I am troubled now. Save me from this hour. Take it away. I don't want it. But he says, but this is why I came. This is why Patrick came. This is why he was created. This was his mission. Okay. Now, I want to offer a couple examples, little examples of our mission in life and how in all kinds of little things we can die to ourselves, right? So let's say you're in a restaurant, you've ordered your food, whatever you ordered, and they come out and they bring you out the wrong dish, okay? So they made the wrong food for you. The waiter, the waitress misunderstood or forgot or communicated it wrongly. Now, you can pound the table and say, I want what I ordered. It's my will. This is what I ordered. If I'm going to pay for it, this is what I'm going to pay for. I'm not going to pay for something I didn't order, right? So you can do that, but you can hear in all of that pride. It's like, my will be done. I don't care about anything else, right? So what would be the greater path of humility? The greater path of humility would be to say, you know what? This is just one meal. It's okay. Man, we all make mistakes, right? She made a mistake, he made a mistake, that's okay. I'll eat it. So when the waiter or the waitress realizes they made the wrong food and they say, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry. You say, no, it's all right, I'll eat it. It's fine. It's not a problem. No big deal. Right? So you could hear the humility in that. And then so if the waiter or the waitress hears that and knows that they made the mistake, but you're the one who's willing to die to yourself, in that little moment, it leaves an impression on them. Now let's take it a little farther, and so you're at the restaurant, you've ordered your food, right? Nothing's going right. It's taking forever. The waiter and the waitress, they're just overwhelmed. It's super busy. Probably somebody called in sick, and so they're trying to do too much, and it's just not working. It's just a disaster, right? Well, you can get really upset. You can storm out. You can do all those things. I have to say, last night I had an example of that where I could have done that. I was in a drive-through getting some food, and it was taking forever. It took like half an hour to get through the drive-through, and it was so tempting to just get out of there and go somewhere else. I stuck it through, you know. It's like, no, I'll wait, right? So this person's really having a bad day at the restaurant, and so, you know, you're tempted to say, well, okay, I'll stick it through, but I'm not giving them a tip. They did not earn the tip, right? Well, what about instead, you know, you can write a little note on the receipt and say, you know, I know what it's like to have a bad day. I've had some pretty bad days myself, so I just want you to know I'm saying a little prayer for you, and then you give them their tip, right? So I think that's a more beautiful path of humility, right? It's harder to remember that in the moment, though, when we're frustrated. Another little example. So last year during Lent, I made a sacrifice that I thought would teach me patience while I'm driving on the road. And it pretty much did the exact opposite. I didn't learn any patience from it. But this Lent, it was different. And I didn't do anything. I didn't make any sacrifice. I don't know why it is, but during this Lent, I've had so much patience while driving. And I have to say, in some ways, I've never really known this kind of patience before, where I can be sitting in traffic, sitting in gridlock, and I'm actually okay. I'm not getting mad. I'm not getting frustrated. And I don't know what happened. I don't know why that is, but it feels great. It feels free. You know, I don't look at the people around me and see them as obstacles on the road. I see them more as just other people, just like myself, trying to get home or trying to get to work or whatever. And it's been so freeing. It's been so wonderful. There must be some nun somewhere praying for me, because I cannot explain why I've had so much patience. But I love it. And what I feel like I'm tasting is that freedom to die to oneself, that my life is no better than anybody else's, right? The other day I was over in Marysville in traffic, and there's this big white pickup truck with these big huge tires on it, right? And so we're at a stoplight, and the truck's next to me. Well, there's a car in front of this big white pickup truck, and the car's turning right at the intersection. Well, the car takes forever. The car is going really slow, and the truck is like up on its bumper practically. It's trying to get through the intersection, and so finally he's just lost all his patience, and so he pounds on the horn and blows by the car as soon as he has a chance, right? And I was thinking to myself, I was like, that used to be me. That was me not that long ago, right? I don't know about the horn part. If I did lay on the horn, I probably would cover my collar. I shouldn't have said that. But anyways, so, you know, just the freedom to say, you know, that's not me anymore. At least I hope for a while. I hope it lasts, because it's just a great freedom. I want to include one last one. It's so tempting in life, even as a priest, it's so tempting in life to want to create our own little kingdoms, right? And so whether it's in my assignment as a priest to create my own little kingdom, to make everything exactly the way I want it, or in your life to make your own little kingdom, or, you know, when we're younger and we're looking at our life and we plan our whole life out. So you say, well, this is the kind of person I'm going to marry. This is the university I'm going to go to. This is the kind of job I'm going to have. This is the amount of money I'm going to make. This is the kind of house I'm going to have. And so we can plan everything out. Kind of like Joseph, right? St. Joseph. We make our own little kingdom, our own little Garden of Eden. And then we can retire and then just enjoy the fruits of it, right? Or, because that's actually a very proud way to approach life, a very vain way to approach life. And the reality is we'll probably never be happy in that mode of thinking. We can say, no, I'm part of a huge kingdom. I'm part of a kingdom that doesn't belong to me, but I'm part of it. By my baptism, I'm part of this awesome, wonderful kingdom. And so I'm going to be part of that kingdom. And so my life, my job, my schooling, my house, my spouse, my kids, whatever my life is, or for me as a priest, it's simply part of a bigger kingdom. And so what I'm going to do with my life is I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can to make that kingdom awesome, beautiful. All right. These are just a few thoughts for this last weekend. Next week, hopefully I'll have a really, really short homily because we have some great readings, some long readings, right? The Passion and such. And so God bless on these last 2 weeks of Lent. And I'll be praying for you and you pray for me. All right. God bless.